At the end of this video, you will know exactly how I made one of my favorite Cochise beats I've ever made without any paid plugins, and how you can make your own with the advice I'll give you today. Every good Cochise beat needs a pad to serve as a good bass, and one that does this perfectly is the less than stable preset from Harmless. I chose a simple 2-chord progression in the key of G minor, going from G minor to D sharp major, so 1/6 progression. You always want to add more flavor to the chords by, for example, adding the 7th or 9th and maybe move up the 3rd by a whole octave like I did here. This makes it sound spacey and adds life. To finish the sound, I added an EQ to reduce the higher frequencies to make room in the mix, which is very important, which I'm gonna show you later. And now we already have a major element in the beat done, since the pad is playing at all times. Now, because Harmless does cost money, I just export the sounds I make there and save the MIDI to an empty sampler so I can change the stuff I don't like later. Moving on to some more melodic elements, we have this background lead and also this ARP. However, these sounds don't play at the same time, they play at different times to not make the mix messy and chaotic. The lead is made with a preset from Harmless, which I drenched in 2 different Valhalla supermassives to add a lot of reverb and delay for the spacey feel and for it to sit in the background. The ARP is a simple combination of a square saw wave mix added to a normal saw wave. The processing for the ARP consists of OTT to make it sound brighter and EQ to reduce high frequencies and fruity reverb for some space. As you can see, FL Studio stock synths like Harmless and Hammer and other free synths and effect plugins like Vital already provide you with a decent amount of amazing sounds to make really good beats in this genre. Obviously, I'm not sponsored, but I still recommend them a lot. Next, we have another Vital sound playing 2 notes very sparingly to fill some empty space in the beat. And believe it or not, these are the only melodic elements in this beat, apart from the 808. It's not a lot, but it's a perfect amount to sound full and not overly chaotic, which is a key thing to aim for. Moving on to the drums, you can hear that it's really just a standard trap hi-hat, clap and an offbeat snare for more groove. The main movement though comes from the hi-hat. Now, although a simple 2-step hi-hat pattern can sound good, I suggest to experiment with pauses and rolls like I did here. Changing the velocity and pitch of some notes can also sound nice and add character. I mentioned that it's important to reduce high frequencies, especially in the pad, and this is because we want to make room for the drum. This is what it will sound like so far without the EQ on the pad. And you can hear that it sounds very chaotic. With the EQ, it sounds a lot cleaner. Looking at the 808, you can see that it's really just the root note, but I added a slide note going into the D sharp to give it a stronger emphasis. The second part just has an A sharp as a passing note because it sounds nice in the finished beat in my opinion. It just gives it a bit more melodic content. I added some hi-hats on top of the 808 and put free clip on the master to give the whole beat this crispy punch when the 808 hit. You can do this with any clippy plugin though. The open hi-hats paired with the lows of the 808 do this very well. It's a nice trick I like to do in most of my beats because it sounds better and more professional in my opinion. Just don't overdo it. Now, this is what we got so far. At this point, the key patterns are all in place, but it still feels a bit empty. So I added clean rises and transitions and, most important, laser sounds. Because Cochise songs always contain a ton of those. One of the 2 main laser sounds I added is actually in multiple of his songs, like Pocket Rocket for example. And it plays pretty often, so it's very present. To finish the beat, I created an intro with ascending pitch and tempo to grab the attention, just like in Tell 'Em. I won't be going over the rest of the arrangement though, because it can be very different from song to song. Generally, you want to have chunks of the full beat playing with calmer sections in between, with maybe only the pad to create tension for the next beat drop. Now I'm gonna play the final result in a second after going over a quick sum up of the most important things in my opinion. First, for this kind of genre, you want synthy pads as a bass with a simple progression that still has character. Make sure you don't overdo it and leave room, but still fill out spaces that feel too empty in comparison to the rest. And use sounds like lasers and transitions to give the beat life, which is, in my opinion, one of the most important advice for any kind of beat. And if this was helpful, I would appreciate if you help me build a community by pressing the subscribe button. I'm gonna try to upload more like this in 2024 and further if it works. But yeah, hope this helped.